Hello and welcome everyone to our podcast. My name is Don Putkela.
And I'm Angela Putkela.
And this is Welcome to Livingston, where we talk all about Livingston County. And we bring in nice local businesses to talk about their business and kind of let everyone know a little bit about it.
Yeah, and it's been brought to you by the Putkela Group, the real estate professionals that we are the owners of.
Yep, but with KW Living.
Yeah, just love to connect with the community, though, and that's the real focus. So today we're very excited. We've been trying to get this couple on for a little while because they're just doing some fantastic things in the community here, particularly over at Brighton Light House.
So, yeah, this is Anna and Dan Oginsky.
Oginsky.
I knew I was going to get it wrong.
Got it wrong.
Yes. So thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having us.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, so I think we could start off a little bit. Tell us a little bit about what the Brighton Light House is.
Well, Brighton Light House is an office, co-working, meeting, event space, and we also do our own programs and have a guest teaching program. We have a lot of things that go on there. We like to say that the light in Brighton Lighthouse is you.
Aww,
you
like
and your
that.
purpose and what you might be working on or wanting to have some fun with. So we're basically stewards of infrastructure. We took a house that was originally built in 1860 and renovated it, added some space, and we're the stewards of that infrastructure that's there for people to come and use to work, play, and grow.
It's a beautiful
Wow.
facility, by the way. Where's it
Thank
located?
you. It's at 142 Brighton Lake Road, right off of Grand River.
Right over the railroad tracks.
Yes,
there.
exactly.
Yes.
Great. Well, in terms of, what it does or the different services, you kind of touched on a lot of it, but
Right.
it seems like you guys do a lot of different things with
Yeah.
the space. And
Yeah. Do you want me to go through that, or you want to talk about it?
Well, I'll talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, so we have several residents who are people who use the space on dedicated days. They have offices for our full-time, and then several are part-time. And there's sort of a health and wellness niche, and some of them are therapists, and we have a functional medicine doctor. But then we also have a financial services person, a couple of those. We have all different kinds of people who work there. So they work there, and then people come and use the space as co-working space every day. And then on the weekends and the evenings, we have lots of events. We have showers, birthday parties, graduation parties. We have had a couple celebrations of life. And then we also have meetings. That's probably the best resource in town that we've been able to provide as a space for people to meet, coming from, because of where we are located in real estate, right off of 96 and 23. So it's a great meeting spot. We've got we can hold up to 45 people for meetings.
Okay.
wow. Yeah, that's a.
And
nice
I know
space.
my first event over there, our daughter was in cheer.
Oh, yeah.
So we came to the end of the year cheer party outside and kind of like the, I don't know if I want to call it garage area or the opening area.
workshop. We call it the workshop,
Okay.
yeah.
And I mean, that was a fun event. And, I love that it's an indoor-outdoor space for that.
Yep. So we have one thing I think we really enjoy is we have a good mix of things that go on there. As Anna was mentioning, there's a real strain of wellness practitioners and holistic practitioners. So there's definitely that vibe and activity going on there. There's also, business people who are working on growing their business or being productive in different ways, and people use the space in really great ways for that. Then the other part is there's just a lot of interesting social and fun events that go on in addition to other kind of work or business gatherings too. And so the one you mentioned, for example, was a banquet for a cheer team. And we have a workshop space that, as Anna said, can hold up to, 45, 50 people. But the cool thing is it's got a couple of garage doors, and when the weather's nice, the ability to open those garage and let the party spill out, outside makes a nice, it's kind of an indoor event with a outdoor air to it. And people have done some really great things there. Birthday parties, lots of baby and wedding showers. I've seen a lot of birthday parties and just different fun events. So
That's
lots
nice.
of cool things.
Nice that you have the audio visual, because they did even have kind of the end of year, kind of video feature thing. And so that got set up, and the girls just loved watching themselves and all the cute pictures and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, so in different rooms, for that one, like I said, in the workshop space, we do have a large display panel. And
I think we've upgraded since you were there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We got the display panel on the wall. It's got an Apple TV hooked up to it and an audio system and different technology that allows you kind of, AirPlay essentially from any device or plug your laptop in and show different content. So people have found that really useful. And then in some of the meeting rooms, like our Birch room or the art studio, where people are having meeting spaces, we have display panels there that have like a Mac Mini attached to them with a keyboard and a mouse and everything. So people often have meetings and use those display panels to show their content and presentations as part of their meetings, or dial up people on Zoom so they have some people in the room and some people zooming in, and people have found that capability pretty useful.
And going back to the workshop doors, where it's unique, the property is unique in that it's on 2 acres, being so close to downtown. So we're able to let people wander through the yard, and we back up to Orr Creek. So it's a really great place to kind of run around, especially if there's kids involved.
Right. And for those events and such, people can bring in their own food. And
Yep, the way it works is we have the space. We have tables and chairs and like AV setup we were talking about. And we basically talk to people ahead of their event. How do they want the space set up and prepared for them? So when they arrive, it's clean and set up how they want. And then they bring in their food and drinks and decorations and set up for it and have their party there. One thing I've noticed is that some folks are finding, rather than trying to have an event in their home, which often might prompt us to, need to get a bunch of projects done and get all your laundry picked up and, and then have people there, and which can be fun, but then there's all the cleanup. I'm finding we have a kind of a convenient space where people can come in, bring their stuff, and have their party there, and still have that at-home feel and kind of the charm of the, kind of event that someone wants to have without having to move, get all your laundry put away and get all those projects done.
Landscaping.
It's that proverbial, so I was trying to save money and I was going to have it at my house. So how much did my free party cost me?
Exactly.
Just even in time and effort and aggravation.
Right. And then you're exhausted.
Right. But one of the things I really love, because you have so many different kinds of space, is, when someone's either needs a conference room or they're looking to have a birthday party or any of those shower things, it's like, well, who has access to a clubhouse, and what restaurant am I going to go to? Where's the catering place and such? You have all of that there, and it gives them a lot more freedom than sometimes you would have.
Right. Yeah, because some places you have to use their this or their that, or and even I wanted to mention the landscaping that is so beautiful that you mentioned, the 2 acres. And I know we've had Trisha Turner on our show. It seemed like maybe she helped out with some of it at some point, but but in terms of just how pretty it looks, you have some people that do senior photos through the area, from what I remember. So
it organically it was a really beautiful space. So that's why I fell in love with it, really. And we've been able to add some features, stairs and with stone, and there's a lot of brick, so we have some great backdrops for photos. And then we're working with Trisha on what we're calling a micro park. So because we have the creek, we can have some wetland plantings.
Nice.
And then we have a little forest area where there are trees, and then the lawn is pretty open. I did meet the man who grew up there when he was a kid. He said it used to be all trees, so at some point they cleared them, so this big open space, we're calling that the meadow.
Oh,
so that'll be really fun. We have camps in the summer with the kids, and they love to wander around. We had this one little guy who he named the tree, this one tree that was kind of gnarly, and all the little places. He drew a map and named everything. It was really sweet.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cute.
There's a story a little bit about how we found.
That was kind of my next question. I was going to ask, how did you, to have such vision, to get it to, how did you come up with the idea, and what did it look like before you renovated?
Well, it's interesting, especially the more life we experience. Sometimes, a lot of times you presume there's a plan and you're just executing a plan. And other times you're called to something. And I would say this is a calling for us. in 2016, Anna was looking for a place to do her healing arts practice that she has called Heart Connected since 2012. She was looking for a place to do that outside of our home. I was looking for a place to have a garage to work on cars. My dad's a mechanic, and I grew up working on cars. So this house went up for sale on Brighton Lake Road. It's an old home, and we're driving by it all the time. We live near there. And we thought, well, let's stop in and see it. And I walked in and immediately thought, well, this won't work. It's,
It'll never work.
It's too small. It was in really rough shape, need a lot of work. So I thought it won't work. I went in the basement. There was fieldstone walls, original to the house. I thought, well, that's cool, but won't work. And it's on a 2-acre parcel really close to Main Street. And I thought there's a lot of potential there, but I just don't think it's going to work. Then I was standing in the 3-car garage that I thought could be my garage, and it's caving in and stuff. And I literally had my arms crossed and shaking my head. And I thought, no. And then this picture popped into my head. And I thought, what we could do is invest in the property, do a cool historical renovation, bring it back to life. It's kind of good for the community. And in the process, we can build space that we can use for lots of things that help people be productive and builds community. And I knew that was important to us. So this picture popped into my head, and I thought, let's do it. And what I didn't know, and meanwhile, is as soon as Anna saw the backyard and the property, she had decided she wanted to do this too. So we basically bought the property and started making plans. And once we got into making plans and brainstorming all the different things we could do there, that essentially led us down a path of creating it as a commercial property and trying to design it in a way that it suits a lot of different purposes. And that gets us to today. And one of the driving design philosophies we had in building it is that we wanted to feel really great to be there. And so there's a lot of details that we paid very close attention to and made investments in the property so that it just feels really great to be there. And so for one example, and you're mentioning why people love taking photography there.
Right.
The brick is amazing. This was a residential home originally built in 1860. The front half of the house is all original brick. And then to put the addition on the house, we used reclaimed brick from Detroit. So these are buildings that were built in the 1800s in Detroit, torn down, and they harvest that brick, and you can reuse it. So we use reclaimed brick, and it's just it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous, and it has all of this history in it. And I think we feel gratified that we created what to us is a special place, and the way people respond to it, it seems like it resonates with folks.
Wow.
Something greater that can live on.
Yes,
in a lot of
exactly.
ways.
We did want to build something that could be permanent and outlive us. And like I said, something that hopefully will become over time. I wouldn't presume to call it an institution, but something that's something that lasts and is important to the community over time.
Right.
You guys have so many ideas and so many neat things. That there's the that property over on Rickett Road. Tell me about that. That's going to be like kind of the next
big
thing, right?
With Brighton Light House, once we had the workshop finished, it was really beautiful. And the art studio space where I wanted to teach it didn't seem to be, you would know in real estate, when you go through the building phase, it looks really small, and then it looks really big, and then it looks really small. So I said, I'm not sure this is going to be big enough. So Dan said, well, we could use the workshop as kind of an overflow. Well, eventually he got kicked out of the workshop entirely.
And I will say, too, just over time, it would have been impractical to be doing any kind of work in that space, given the other things that are going on there. So we've made the right call with that. But
right. So then the space on Rickett Road was another kind of unique property that people weren't really sure what would fit there.
It's an odd shape, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like a
triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we're we have warehouse space and then a workshop where Dan can work on his cars finally. Although I will say, as soon as it was finished, there are these beautiful garage doors that are glass and they let in a lot of light. And when we were standing there, I was like, this would be great for events. So like, no, you
Eventually
can't do
you'll
that to me. Someday. And then we have an office space too. So there's an office there for Dan and a meeting room, and then like open collaboration space and co-working space.
Wow.
And this has been an evolving idea, how to best utilize that property. Like I said, we were looking at property that became Brighton Light House. Part of it for me was I was looking for a garage, and that's not that. And
funny the path, so things go.
Right.
It was still this general idea that, like a lot of people, someday I wanted to figure out how to have my pole barn.
Right.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my dad passed away in 2020, and he has 4 garages filled with stuff. And like he and I built a Chevelle together when I was in high school that was still at his place. So the general concept of someday having a pole barn became a real issue to solve more immediately. And it's hard to find a pole barn. You can't buy vacant residential property and just build a pole barn. So
That's a question I get a lot.
Yeah, probably once or twice a year,
I bet.
minimum.
They're like, I don't need a house, right? I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
I'm going to let you do that.
It's not going to happen.
I like where your head's at. But
That's why barn dominiums are becoming kind of a thing.
yes.
Yeah.
So I'm driving around town, and there's lots of signs up for commercial property. And I think, well, what about that? And I knew enough, having built Brighton Light House, that it's not as simple as you dream up an idea and try to fit it into a box in the zoning ordinance. So
I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
well, I read the zoning ordinance for that. It's zoned light industrial, and I looked at the permitted uses, and it says warehousing, builder storage, car rental storage, and I thought, and this is kind of how our minds work, starting with one idea and letting it evolve. And so looking at these things together, I thought, well, what if we build something? It's not really my pole barn now. It's kind of evolved to where it does have storage space for us that we can use for our business. It does have a workshop in it that we can use for some things. And it will have my dad's tools in it from his workshop that we're moving to this location. And I think we can use it as a space for like a community workshop where maybe we have educational classes for people, to kind of learn how to do certain things. But a lot of the building is warehouse space and the office space, which we're, to the point now of thinking of it as space that can be a garage people can use to build their business,
Wow.
where people might need a little bit of storage. Like we think of it like the first mile. Maybe you're not to the point where you want to make the commitment to have a lot of storage or need your own office and that sort of thing, but maybe you need a little bit of storage and some office space to work at a desk or meet with clients and that sort of thing. And that's the direction we're headed in with it.
And I mean, I love all the ideas and your timing with just the way the world has changed. I mean, so many people are working from home now, but they still want to be able to go into an office, or they want a place for meeting, or they, like you said, they've just started a business and they're like, well, I'm working out of my family room. And I want this. So to have that ability, because it makes them feel like they're part of a community and they're part of something else. And then just those relationships, I'm assuming that people are able to build coming in. I came in for this event, but now I found it, so I'm going to use it for my event, or I'm going to, collaborate with someone else to do something because I met them there.
Especially for how versatile it is. It's beautiful. It's versatile. You guys have done such a phenomenal job. How long did it take before it was all up and running?
A long time. So we closed at the end of 2016, and then we went through a planning phase and let's pull the plug on this phase, and then okay, now we're really going to do this phase. And so we opened in 2021 in February, and we had to stop during COVID. But the planning, I think we broke ground in 2019, so 2 years of building once we had the plans in place. Yeah.
So you learned all how to renovate old homes now then, right?
I think I would say for sure learned, especially with the project we have on Rickett Road, to just there is a lot of learning involved, more being an owner, kind of a developer in a
Right.
sense, you know, owning a piece of property and going through a process of developing it, working with your builder and your architect. And with Brighton Light House, we did have a designer working with us too. And it's a lot to manage.
Right.
And with Brighton Light House especially, we were very, very close to all of the particular selections from, you know, all the tile you see in there and what material is used for the millwork and what trim. We did research on what trim profile would have been used. Because we pinpointed, by the way, there's a family who bought the house in 1920. I've done research on who's owned the house over time. There's a family who bought it in 1920, owned it for 30 years. The next family owned it for the next 20. And, you know, so two families owned it for 50 years and it fell into disrepair. And then the gentleman who bought it in 1970 modernized it. So we kind of picked the family who bought it in 1920. We reimagined the history of the house to say that family put the addition on and built the carriage house. So we went for early 1920s feel. So we did things like research what kind of material had been used for the millwork, what was the trim profile they would have been used, you know, push button light switches and all of that. So it was a lot of work, not just to manage the overall project, but looking back now, I don't know that we knew what we were getting in for, but it was a fair amount of work just being so engaged in all the particular,
all the details.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think of it, Anna doesn't, I don't know, love the way I say this sometimes, but it was almost like, it's almost like we build an art project that people can use.
I like that,
I
though.
do like that.
Because that's something that people can relate to. It
Well-
really makes it kind of a personal
That's true.
Right. And
visual.
you know, I like what you were saying a bunch of times in different ways you said, but it's this whole idea of, you know, it's not that you tried to make the property fit what you wanted it to do. You let the property kind of decide,
Determine the use.
And how it would look,
That's
which is a whole different way of looking at it, because we see people all the time that they come into a house and like, we're going to rip this wall down and we're going to do this and we're going to do this and we're going to bring it up to where we want it. Where in some cases, you know, I'm looking at them I'm like, have you seen the cove ceilings? Have you seen the arches and such? Why don't you allow the house to be all that it can be instead of you making the house what you want it to be?
Absolutely.
I love that. When you asked about doing historical renovations, I was kind of thinking along those lines that it's really, no matter what you think you want to do or where you see it, it really does, the house does dictate what you can do.
Right. And now like you've said at the beginning, you've given that to the community and you have all these people that get to come and work and experience that in a unique setting.
Yeah.
So that's a wonderful thing for Brighton and the surrounding community.
Particularly as it's a gathering place. I think since that whole COVID 2020, all of that, we all now appreciate just the gravity and importance of gathering, right? Where, you know, maybe before that a birthday party or something didn't seem important, but now even it's kind of the little things. Even all these years since things have come back to normal, I feel like gathering is just such an important thing.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever forget when we first opened and people were having their events there. It was, for many people, the first time they had gathered in a long time, and they were so happy to see each other and to be in big groups again. And it was really, to witness that was a gift.
Right.
Now, for the new location on Rickett Road, when does that open? Or
Well, we're actually really close. I think we'll be in soft open pretty soon, and I think we're headed towards a grand opening in September.
nice.
So we like to be in soft open for a little bit, probably some details to get ironed out. So we should be there pretty soon. And then, hopefully having a big, we're thinking along the lines of having like a hot rod cruise type theme party.
Wow.
for the grand
fun.
opening.
What's
So-
the name of it, by the way? Do you even have a name yet?
It's All Heart Garage.
Oh,
Yeah, we have an umbrella company called Hartmonic Holdings, so that will be its headquarters, but the actual space that people can use and be part of is All Heart Garage.
Oh, I love it.
nice.
If you don't mind, I was thinking while Anna was talking about gatherings, adding on to that I just can't help it. Some of the memories of what goes on at Brighton Lighthouse, some things that come to mind, because running a business, as you guys know, and lots of people know, you have dreams of how cool it's going to be, and then there's a lot of ups and downs, and it's amazing how I find the ups are higher and the lows can be lower because it's also personal to you.
Yeah.
Right.
But I got to tell you, there's moments like we did a fundraiser essentially with for Alzheimer's research, and Anna planned an art and music event there. So kids and parents or grandparents were there doing art, and Sean the DJ from Bash was
Oh,
there.
we've had him on the podcast too.
Playing music and stuff. And it was one of those early days for me where I was figuring things out, and people are there working, and the landscaping people show up and they're running, equipment, making noise. And meanwhile, I've got this event going on. And I go over to the garage, and there's a circle of kids and adults doing the hokey pokey together. And it was just, it was beautiful. But, things like that are really awesome. And then some of the coolest things I see go on there are the camps that we have during the summer that Anna has kind of dreamed up and organized with some great guest teachers we have. And I just, it gives me such joy to see those. I think that would be cool to chat about a little bit.
The kids are
Oh, yeah.
amazing. I don't know
so-
if you have time for that.
Oh,
Absolutely,
most
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Okay.
So tell us about the camps and who is able to attend and what are the details?
So we started with 2 teachers who have been teaching in Brighton area schools for quite some time, and they are teaching art and nature camps for children 5 to 10, and they have a morning session for the 5 to 7-year-olds, and then 8 to 10 is later. And they just do the coolest thing. They take them for walks along the property, and they observe nature, and then they teach them how to observe in their nature notebooks. And they have a different theme for every camp. There are 3. They do water and colors and all these different, it's just a beautiful, and the way they set up the classroom is amazing. One of them is an amazing gardener, so she brings these beautiful bouquets of flowers from her garden, and they have all the little supplies. So that's the art and nature camps, and then they call the older one the creative naturalist. And then we're also working with a team of 2 women who are coaching kids for success. They work on coaching kids with life skills. And I work with them doing art journaling. So they have a fable, a story they tell, and then the kids do learn about kind of life lessons like confidence and respect, self-respect, and respecting others. And then we do an art journaling exercise to kind of help them process what they're learning. And then this year I added some teen camps. We're doing beaded bracelets and Zentangle and mixed media art journaling and some writing and things like that. So hopefully we can get some teens in there.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Great.
Yeah, so no, I just really love that because, I know that the kids get art in school and such, but being able to do it outside of the classroom and outside in nature and starting them off at that young age as well, just to have that ability to create that interest in them and let them explore that is just, it's such a wonderful thing to be able to have that because there's not enough camps out there. And it's nice to have it, and then they're in that small group setting as well.
Yeah, and local,
And
not
local,
just ones that you send them off to and goodness knows what. And,
Right.
and I feel like, since the camps were all shut down,
Right.
there's less out there that's available. And I was talking to a mom yesterday, she didn't even necessarily know, what was even available around.
Right.
People frequently have Facebook. I know will be like, geez,
What's going on? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's a long summer if you don't figure out activities to have the kids do.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
And at school, they don't, even though they take art, they don't always have the time to just explore the tools, and the teachers really enjoy letting the kids be able to
Right.
do that. It's really great.
Well, check out the events page at BrightonLighthouse.com.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, for sure. Now, what are some of the interesting things that you guys have seen? I know you mentioned with the hokey pokey, and what other things have been?
Let's see what has been interesting.
All kinds of things, like I said. Just watching the kids being in the camps, looking out the backyard, and there's kids kind of walking in a line, picking things up in the yard that they're going to make art with that time, kids and parents dancing the hokey pokeys. There's parties like that.
There you go. And weddings, right? Have you had some
Had a
weddings
couple
there?
weddings.
Had a couple
Yeah.
weddings there. We had one wedding there, and the bride kind of orchestrated, and it was beautiful. She came out from the catalpa room, which is the back on the first floor of the house, onto the deck, and all the guests were in the backyard kind of looking up at her, and she came out onto this stage and walked down the stairs, and that was gorgeous. We had a birthday party. It was like a 4 or 5 year old girl, and they had a kind of a Disney princess actor show up. So it's kind of funny to be.
Oh, the snakes.
There was a party, and they
Safari.
had a wildlife. Basically the biggest snake I've ever seen. I wasn't there, thank goodness, but there were photos of it. So there's things like that, but also, one cool thing was we had someone use our art studio where we have the display panel set up has Zoom too, but he actually used VooV, which I understand to be the Chinese version of Zoom. He's an athletic trainer. His name is Jim Cabasa with Impact Sports Performance. And he was coaching coaches in China to how to coach youth, because they don't have a tradition of youth sports, I guess.
Wow.
So he came there at 8 o'clock at night, and I moved the tables out of the way so he had open space, and he basically Zoomed over to China from 8 p.m. to midnight here, because it was 8 a.m. to noon there, and taught a class from our space, which that I think is a cool indication of how usable the space is, but how the world can be so connected. We've had a company bring in executives from Europe and different places to have a 2-day retreat in the Carriage House. And I guess part of their leadership training involved screaming or something, the way the consultant did this. It was kind of funny, and they were worried about, is it going to be too loud? Like, no, you got the whole building to yourself.
Right.
People come, use the Birch Room for a lot of meetings and stuff. And probably what's really cool too is just to see how people react to the space. They love the space and seem to find it pretty productive. I get joy out of seeing people enjoy the space and find it useful. But it's kind of across the board, lots of different things. And then there are little things like sitting on the back deck on a nice day, having doing my phone calls and stuff, and just watching this big groundhog running around in the backyard. There's like bigger moments and little moments all the time.
That's so cool. And I love that there's so many different uses for it. And I like the story of with China, because I tell people, it's like, remember, as you expand your world and your world gets bigger, it actually gets smaller, because we're so interconnected nowadays. And it's so easy to, if I wanted to Zoom with someone in China, not only can I talk to them, I can see them now.
That's so true.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of crazy, Now, all of our guests, one of the questions I always want to make sure that I ask is, what do you like best about Livingston?
Oh, yeah. I think one of the best things about it is just how friendly people are and how committed they are to community and children, and making this a place where families want to come. Obviously we don't want to get into politics, but in a time where it feels so divided, I've never once seen a GoFundMe where someone is like, I'm not helping them. It's like everybody jumps in, everybody wants to help when there's a tragedy or something that a family is dealing with. And that spirit of community is really strong here. That's what I like best about it.
Great.
We moved here in 2005 because it was a great central location for different places we were going to go. I had a job in Novi at the time. We have family in the Genesee County. We go to East Lansing a lot. Go green.
Go white.
And, the crossroads of 96 and 23 just make it a great place to be. Mm-hmm. But living here, what's amazing is the mix of, you have Main Street and the whole surrounding area, and not just Brighton, but Howell and different towns around, mixed with some of the best parks you can find, all concentrated in this area, with Island Lake State Park, Kensington Metro Park, Bishop
gorgeous.
Lake State Park, Huron Meadows. Like, it's kind of amazing that all of those things are right here, all mixed. So you can be on Main Street 1 minute and out in the woods on a hike the next, and I love it. And similar to what Anna just said, we do live in a world these days where people get caught up in their opinions quite a bit about ideology and abstract things, and I kind of appreciate largely the mentality in this area. For most people, does seem to be, yes, all of that stuff's going on around us, but we want to raise our kids. We have jobs to do. We want to be productive. We want to work on making the world a better place, and we want to be part of this community and be a community together.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that about people in the area.
It's our hometown, you know.
Right.
It feels that way.
You know, and we moved out here in 2002. And again,
20 years.
20 years.
All right.
But I love that it's a half hour from just about anything.
Yeah.
You know, be it Lansing, Ann Arbor, you know, Detroit Metro and such. But once you live out here, you realize everything you need is in the county.
Right.
You know, at the beginning in 2002, if I wanted to go to, you know, a big box store, some of the things I had to go into Novi.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, it's all right here, and the community is so special and it's so interconnected, which is really nice.
Yeah,
Right.
lucky to end up here, honest to
Yes,
goodness.
very much
And
so.
that's why we created this podcast, like we had mentioned, is that so many more people are kind of pouring into Livingston County. It's our kind of little love letter, welcome to Livingston,
Aw.
that there's so many great things. And even for those of us who have been here 20 years, there's things I'm learning about all the time.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah, no, for those
such an amazing
longtime
place to be.
residents, there's so many new things coming to the county as well.
right.
You know, we're always amazed at the growth that's happening. So, such as your guys' new place off of Rickett Road. So that's
Yeah.
so. I guess to kind of wrap up, how do people find out about you? Where do they go? How early do they have to be booking something for all of that?
Yeah, so we're already taking reservations for next summer. You can go to our website, brightonlighthouse.com, and there's a form to fill out if you want to have an event or a meeting, or take a tour or learn about membership. All of that stuff is on our website. And we're pretty active on Instagram and Facebook too, so you can find us there and use that as a gateway to the website.
And to answer your question a little bit more too, all that information is there on www.brightonlighthouse.com. You know, for events, we're pretty booked up in June and July. There's probably more openings in the fall. I would tell people June is really busy, so people might want to be looking ahead to next year to get on the books. But, you know, for other things, you can be a resident, you can be a member, especially for membership. That's pretty easy to do if people want to join. And that's where you can be a member, come find available space and work there. The other thing I want to mention is that, I've been talking about space for business meetings. That's pretty easy to do to sign up for that. You can go to our website and there's a link you can click on to book a space, and you can just book right there, or there's a form to fill out if you want to, tell us what you're looking to do and make arrangements with us. Just send us a note and we'll be in touch and figure out what works best for you. So there's lots of, that doesn't take much time to set up. If you want to have a business meeting there, that's pretty easy to arrange with us.
Right.
Great. A lot of good options.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, this has been very, very educational.
Aw,
We're excited to have you guys. And
Yeah, and I would tell everybody, go on the website, check it out, drive by, see it. It is a cute spot, and it's easy to get to there. I don't know. Is there anything I'm missing today?
No, I think we will have in the show notes all the details of how to reach you guys.
Great. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to mention one more thing. As Anna mentioned earlier, Brighton Light House and All Heart Garage are part of a larger enterprise we call Hartmonic. And if people are interested in seeing that bigger platform, we think of it as a platform people can plug into to grow in business, wellness, community, and creativity. So if people are interested in that, you can go to hartmonicholdings with an S.com.
Wonderful.
Very good. Excellent. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. Our podcast is found on Spotify and
Yeah, you
Apple
can.
Podcasts.
Yeah,
and
just about anywhere you can find podcasts. You can just Google Welcome to Livingston Podcast, or just go to welcometolivingston.com. And on the main page there, you can click whether you want to find out more information about the podcast, or if you are looking at real estate, find out more information about the Putkela Group and real estate on there. So thank you
like
for
and
coming today.
subscribe.
Thank you
Thank
so much for
everyone
having
for
us.
listening.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
And
Welcome to Livingston.
Yeah.
Awesome.